You are standing at the end of a road before a small brick building. Around you is a forest. A small stream flows out of the building and down a gully. The door is closed. The stream tumbles along a rocky bed. You are in open forest, with a deep valley to one side. You have walked up a hill, still in the forest. The road slopes back down the other side of the hill. There is a building in the distance. You are in a gentle valley near a stream tumbling along a rocky bed. You're in open forest, near both a valley and a road. You're by a stream in a gentle valley. You're by a stream in a gentle valley. The grate is locked. You can't go through a locked steel grate. You're inside a building, a well house for a large spring. There's nothing to do with it here. You're inside a well house. You see rushing water. Bottle of water. Tasty food. You're inside a well house. You're inside a building, a well house for a large spring. Set of keys. You have unlocked the grate. You're in a small chamber beneath a 3x3 steel grate to the surface. A low crawl over cobbles leads inwards to the west. There's nothing there but stinky trash. You're below the grate. A crawl over cobbles leads to the west. You are crawling over cobbles in a low passage. Brass lantern. The lantern is now lit. Set of keys. You're crawling in a low passage. You're crawling in a low passage. It says Zizzy. Zizzy. A 3-foot black rod with a rusty star on an end lies nearby. You're in an awkward, sloping east-west canyon. The bird was unafraid when you entered, but as you approach it becomes disturbed. You're in a splendid chamber, the walls frozen rivers of orange stone. An awkward canyon and a good passage exit from the east and west sides of this chamber. Wicker cage. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. There's nothing to do with it here. Nothing happens. Wicker black rod. Wicker cage. You're in a splendid chamber. At your feet is a small pit breathing traces of mist. A white mist, usually water seen from time to time in caverns. It can be found anywhere, but is frequently a sign of a deep pit leading down to water.
Whoa!
It says you won't get it up the steps. There is a large, sparkling nugget of gold here. You could never pull it out, no matter how hard you try. That is useless right now. You're in a low room. Nothing happens. It's broken and useless. There's no use for that here. That won't work here. Large gold nugget. A little dwarf. Watch out! You're at the east end of a vast hall stretching out of sight to the west. There are openings to either side. To the north, a cold wind blows up from a wide stone staircase leading downward. The hall is filled with wisps of white mist swaying to and fro, almost as if alive. Rough stone steps go upward behind you, and an upward scramble to the south leads to a chamber. There must be a way to cross this fissure. You're in the Hall of the Mountain King, with passages off in 5 directions. A huge green, fierce snake bars the way. Black rod. There's no use for that here. Nothing happens. That won't work with the snake. Zizzy. Zizzy. There's no use for that here. You're in a secret canyon which runs east and west. It crosses over a very tight canyon 15 feet below. If you go down, you may not be able to get back up. These engravings are beautiful and enigmatic. You briefly wonder who created them. Watch out! A huge dragon snoozes atop a beautiful Persian rug. There's nothing to do with it here. The dragon doesn't seem to be interested in that. Large gold nugget. The dragon doesn't seem to be interested in tasty food. There's nothing here it wants to eat. Except perhaps you. Wicker cage. Wicker cage.
Whoa!
Set brass lantern. Wicker cage. You are in a room. You have crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You're in a soft room. The walls are covered with heavy curtains, the floor with a thick shag carpet. Moss covers the ceiling. A small velvet pillow lies on the floor. Large gold nugget. Nothing happened. That won't work here. Sorry, you'll need to drop something before you can carry anything more. Large gold nugget. Tasty food. The food is rather tasty. You're in the soft room. Set of keys. This is the Orient Room. Ancient Asian cave drawings cover the walls. A gently sloping passage leads upwards to the north, another passage leads southeast, and a hands and knees crawl leads west. This is the Orient Room. That is useless right now. There is a delicate, precious Ming vase here. Velvet pillow. There is a threatening dwarf. A sharp knife is thrown. It missed. Black rod. Large gold nugget. That was ill-advised. You've only made him madder. Nothing happened. Large gold nugget. There are threatening dwarves here. Knives are thrown. One of them got you. Oh dear. You seem to have been ousted from your adventure. I might be able to help, but I've never really done this before. Do you want me to try and resurrect you? All right. But don't blame me if something goes wrong. This is an opening into a cave. The bird was unafraid when you entered, but as you approach it becomes disturbed. Velvet pillow. Could this have been the king's throne? You're in Bedquilt, a long east-west passage with holes everywhere. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You see a little dwarf relaxing. He hasn't seen you. Yet.
I'll just take all this booty and hide it away with me chest deep in the maze.
Set of keys.
Whoa!
Spelunker today. I'm afraid the magazine is written in Dwarvish. It is too big and heavy to carry. Oh my. What was that? You need to be a little closer to climb that. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and found your way blocked. There's nothing to do with it here. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and you are at wit's end. Passages lead off in all directions. Nothing happens. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You've crawled around in some little holes and found your way blocked by a recent cave-in. You're now back in the main passage. Spelunker Today. I'm afraid the magazine is written in Dwarvish. Spelunker Today. Spelunker Today. You've crawled around in some little holes and wound up back in the main passage. You're at wit's end.